If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. 2024 is fast approaching. Have you planned your Etsy shop goals yet for this next year? Do you know how to do it? If not, stick around because today I'm going to show you how I plan for my year, and it will include downloadable worksheets and all the tools that I use to make it happen. I have to warn you, there will be math. I'm sorry, it's unavoidable. If you really want solid goals, you can't just throw spaghetti at the wall. Also, this video is sponsored by Everbee, but more on them later. Now let's get this party started. Welcome to Cha-Ching. My name is Terry. I'll be your guide through the Etsy maze and your partner in crime, all things small business. With over a decade in Etsy and 2 decades in small business, I'm here to bring some order to this craziness. This is a very meaty episode, so I suggest that you watch it one time all the way through and then come back to it when you're ready to sit down and do your own planning. Now, to properly plan, we need to look at 4 sections of our business. Number 1 is goals. Number 2 is organizing it all. Number 3 is research. And number 4 is business needs. Step 1 is setting realistic goals. We're going to start with goals because it is said that if you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. Now I'll take you to the downloadable worksheets so that you can get an overview of those before we start. Okay, so these are Google Sheets documents, so you would need a Gmail to be able to access them. I think you could open them and print them without a Gmail, but in order to do the interactive spreadsheet that I have, you would need to have a Gmail. When you get these opened, you're going to need to go into File, Make a Copy. And that way you would save that copy and you would be able to edit that. Okay, so it's done in sheets, so there's different tabs down here at the bottom. The first sheet is your Etsy Goals worksheet, and the second sheet is the tracking sheet. And then the third sheet is the business needs worksheet. Okay, on the goals worksheet, start by putting your current number of listings. So in order to show you this, we're just going to say that you have 40. Okay, you have 40 listings total right now. Then we need to decide how many listings are we going to do every week. I don't want you to overwhelm yourself because down here we're going to be working on the listing revamp goals for old listings. Okay, so let's just say that we're going to do a listing a day. That is 5 per week. Okay, now there are 13 weeks in a quarter, so now we know that we are going to end up with our 5 listings a day at 65 listings. Okay, 65 listings added. Okay, now to get the percentage of increase, you're going to divide that by the 40 that you had. That equals 1.625. As a percentage, and to get the percentage, you would just times it times 100, or you just move your decimal. So you would have 162.5% increase from the first quarter to the second quarter. So at the end of Q1, we're going to have 105 listings. Okay. Now, why did we need this number? We need this number so that we can figure out what our revenue might be from that. Okay. If we're making, let's just say that right now we're making $100 a week. Okay. If we're making $100 a week, we need to figure out what our percentage of increase will be from the first quarter to the second quarter. So we're going to say that we had $1,300 in the first 13 weeks, the first quarter. Okay, so now we need to take 1,300, that's our revenue, times You can either do it 162.5% on a calculator, or you can do it the 1.625 equals, and you're going to come out with 2,115, oh sorry, that's wrong, 2,112.50, okay? All right, that is not what you're going to actually be making for Q2, because you now have to go back and add it to this. That's just the increase. So now you add your 2,112.50 to that, and you're going to get a total of $3,412.50. Okay, so we're going to put that here. But I also want you to go one step further and divide this by the 13 weeks so you can figure out what your weekly will be, because we'll need that on the final worksheet. So we're going to divide that by 13 weeks. That means your income has gone from $100 a week to $262.50. Okay, what does all this mean? If you hit this goal, let's just say that you did the extra 65 listings and your percentage of increase should be this, and you get to Q2 and you're not here. That means that you probably need a little bit of work, either on the research or on some of your designs, or alternatively, if you have surpassed that, you're just killing it. That's amazing. And it could go either way. I also want you to understand that you can adjust these numbers basically by your listings per week. Okay, I just don't want you to get into trying to chase the dollar and burning yourself out. That's a real concern. Okay. All right, so then you would continue to do that for the rest of the worksheet. Okay, and so for your next time, you would start with this number and then figure out how many you would add. And that's why I put the formulas up here, so that you don't get too lost. And I put what is X and what is Z, you know, that kind of thing. So it helps you kind of work this out yourself. Okay, so then we're going to go down to social media goals. Social media is something that we all hate, but we need. I don't know, maybe you love social media. I think it's kind of a chore, but I do love the results it gives me. So I currently right now post on Pinterest and Instagram, and then from Instagram I share it to Facebook. So it's the same post. So basically I'm doing two. But I don't want you to overdo this here. I want you to be careful, because there's just a lot of things that we're going to have to do. And then on the final worksheet that we're doing, there's other things that we have to kind of worry about and concern ourselves with. So if you're going to post, let's just say we'll start with 1 post per day. And I would do, if you're going to go all in on Pinterest and you're not going to do Instagram and Facebook, that's just too much, then maybe do 2 a day. Or stick to the 1 a day so you don't overwhelm yourself. You kind of know what you can handle, because, you know, if you have kids or you have a job, you know, I don't know what your situation is, or how many shops you have. You know, this can be quickly overwhelming. All right. I don't currently post on TikTok. I do know that it's a good one to post on, but I don't post on there for personal reasons. So on Pinterest, if I post once a day, Monday through Friday for 13 weeks, I'm going to have 65 posts in the period of 3 months. That's really great. Okay, and this could be a picture post or a carousel post, or it can be a video. I am going to do a video on how to do the videos on Canva, because that's really the easiest way. Okay, so after that, we're going to go down and we're going to set our listing revamp goals. And if you're already doing 5 listings a week that are brand new, the revamp isn't going to be as hard, because unless you need to change your pictures, a lot will stay the same, except for you'll need to research it. You'll need to come up with title. You'll need to come up with tags, and you'll need to come up with a whole new description. Now, I don't want you to do this on listings that have sold. If they've sold even once, and it wasn't to someone you knew, then leave those listings alone. You can do something completely different for them. You just basically copy them, duplicate, and then do all your changes to a duplication and just use a different initial picture. But for the sake of listings that haven't sold, and let's see, you've had the listing up there for 3 months to 6 months and you've had no sales, then at this point, they're free game. You can change everything about them. It's not going to matter. Just remember, when you make those changes, it will take the Etsy algorithm a while to pick them up. Okay, but do not neglect this part. Okay, let me tell you a story about Q4 right now, real quick. I have a certain item on one of my Etsys, and it has not sold historically very well, and it's a bunch of them. I've done a bunch of different designs, but I decided to go back and revamp the ones that hadn't sold and duplicate the other ones. And I did all of those changes. And historically in my shop, these have not been great sellers, but guess what was the best seller for this Christmas season? All of those items. Literally every listing that I messed with, every listing that I fixed, sold. So you cannot neglect this part, okay? I wouldn't say as many as, because if you only had 40 listings, you're not going to revamp, 5 a week. You could just say you're going to revamp maybe 2 per week, okay? And then you just sort of do your goals for each quarter, okay? The reason that we're filling all this out is so that you can go back to your tracking sheet and keep track. Step 2 is organizing it all. Now, when it comes to organizing my time and all of these goals, I use 2 main tools. The first tool is a planner. If you have an iPad or a tablet, you should be able to get GoodNotes. It's a one-time purchase in the App Store and it's fairly inexpensive. Then you can go to Etsy and grab a digital planner and download that into GoodNotes. It's actually pretty easy to do. I'm actually creating my own planner that is Etsy specific. Let me know down in the comments if you'd like to get your hands on that. Okay, so if you do not have a tablet, you can use a regular planner. It works just as well. It's just a preference thing. I do most of my stuff online or digitally so that I can keep track of it all, but sometimes I just prefer to write it in a good old-fashioned pen and paper planner. So if you don't have a planner, you can also go online and just download some printable calendars and use that. Just throw it in a notebook and planner. There you go. The advantage of using a digital planner is that you can reuse it over and over again, and also when you get the planners from Etsy, a lot of times they have a lot of different sections. The planner that I have has a goals section already. It has different ways to help you track, and although I don't use all of those sections, it is great to be able to have them if needed. Okay, so this is the planner that I currently use. I did purchase it from Etsy and download it into GoodNotes. It does say that it's a 2023 planner. I'm pretty sure when I purchased it there was a non-dated version, and I may be able to go back and get that, but if not, it's worth purchasing again because this has been a really great planner, I think. I use the calendar section mainly to keep track of things like if I've revamped a bunch of listings, I might start keeping track of items in that category that start selling maybe 2 to 4 weeks after I do a revamping of a section. Sometimes I use it to keep track of the total sales that I have. Sometimes I use it to keep track of how many listings I'm uploading and how many listings I'm putting up. Okay, the next tab that I will show you is the Finance tab. And this is a great place to put a budget. I did have a budget in here. I did take everything out because I'm getting ready to redo my planning for the year. And so this will all change. Then there's the goal planner. I do actually like the goal planner. You can add a goal in, and then I kind of like how they have the bar down here where you can say how complete you are on a goal. You can write in the goal. I like to put in the different action plans, the steps to make the goal. I don't know about you guys, but I love checking things off. It's very satisfying, and in that way this planner is perfect for that. Okay, there is also a project planner,
but I've never used this. I just feel like it's very simple, but then also it kind of complicates since I use my own worksheets. The next tab would be health and fitness. This is probably the only extra tab that I would use, because I do believe that your mental health is really tied to your physical health, and I do see a difference when I work out and keep track of things like this. So this is a tab that I would use. And then there's another finance tab. I don't use this one because it's maybe less specific than the other one. I do like the note paper template page that shows you, because you can add pages into your planner, and I like to look at this to see what kind of page I want to add. It's got a lot of selections. I like that. I like the boxes with the check boxes in it to make lists and things like that. So I don't know. I don't know how you feel about a planner. You can use a paper planner. I'm a digital girl, but this has been a game changer for me to keep track of all of this in a planner. So I hope it's helpful for you to see this.
My next tool is Asana. They have a free app, and I love using it. I have a lot of balls in the air, and it really helps me keep on task.
Asana is project management software, basically, and I think there's a lot more that you can do with it. I use it to keep track of my goals and of my tasks that I have to do. So you would just click on Get Started. You have to put in your email, and then it takes you through a setup process. When you first log in, this is what your home screen will look like. Over here to the left is sort of like your dashboard of where you can go. You can actually just set up goals in here if you want to, but I set these things up as projects because I like to use a project board to visually see where I'm at. So let's just go into the social media board. This is a brand new account that I set up so that my account wouldn't confuse you all too much. It's pretty busy. So I don't like the list view. Up here is the different views you can do. So I like the board view, so you can see where you're at in the different tasks and you can move them around. Okay, so when you start out and you add a task, it's going to be in this section. So when you're getting ready to say do this task, you move it over to this box here. And as you move through the process of doing all the things, you just move them around so that you can keep track. And then let's just say that you're finished with this and you've created the video, but you still have to schedule it. Well, then you just check these off that you're done. Okay? And then when you get it scheduled, and I'm not off track with this, we could actually still say on track. But you could, if you were working with someone else, this would be a great way to sort of tell them where you're at on things. I don't get too complicated with it, but I do like it to keep track of all these different tasks. Let's just say that we want to create a new board, and let's do a blank project. You could use a template, but I like the simple design of the blank ones. And let's just call this product launch. Well, let's make it a little more, no, let's do it product launch. Okay, and then here you can make it in the list view, the board view. It would come up in whatever view you wanted every time. Since I always use the board view, I'll just create it in that. Okay, so now I have a product launch. And let's just say that this year you plan on launching several different products. You go up here and you rename it. Let's just say that you are a t-shirt shop, but you want to add sweaters or hoodies. So let's just call it the hoodie launch. Okay, and then down here you can add subtasks to this. You can say, oops, because you've already decided that you kind of want to do hoodies, let's do some product research. And let's do keyword research. and so on. And then you also can check these off as you go as well. So let's just say that we did the product research because we went on Printify and we saw what hoodies they had, right? Or you could make this whole board about one launch, and like, let's just say that you're going to add hoodies, but you're going to add a lot of them and you're going to add them in different categories. So you could call it, instead of product launch, you could just call this hoodie launch. And you can also right click and set the icon color so that you can kind of tell as you go in here which ones you want to go to. You can change those. And you can change the icon that goes with it too. So this is just a great way to put all of those goals in one place. If this is too complicated, like I said before, you can go back and just use the planner, and that works just fine. But I work more online, so this has been of great help to me. Let me know in the comments below if you think you might want to try Asana, and if you do, if you would like for me to do some Asana basic videos. I'm not an Asana expert, but I wouldn't mind helping you guys out if this is something that you're interested in using.
Step 3 is research. If you've watched any of my videos, you have heard me preach and preach on this. I don't want to be repetitive, but I do need to stress how very important this is. For the purpose of planning today, we need to look at what niches we might go into over the next year. We're going to be adding a lot of listings, and while you do want to start with a niche that you're already in and familiar with, you're going to end up exhausting that niche and needing to go outside of it. And you do want to have a plan ahead of time as to what direction you're going. Previously, I mentioned that Everbee was our sponsor. Let's go take a look at their research tool.
Once you add the plugin to your Chrome browser for Everbee, you will just go on to Etsy. And from there, you just search what you're interested in. So the next big holiday that's coming up would be Valentine's Day. So let's look at that. So I'm going to search a Valentine shirt. Okay. Once everything comes up, click on the B in the left-hand corner over here. And you get taken to a page of results that are sort of organized for you. First thing we want to do is set up the filters for the best possible results. So go over here and click on filters. And you have a ton of ways that you can filter all of this information. I suggest starting with the age of the shop. So over here it says shop age. And I do not want to see a shop that's older than 24 months. Because you don't want to compete with shops that are older and established. Now we look at the results and see that there are other items than shirts showing up. So we see a lot of different stuff here that shouldn't be here, and sometimes that's because they might have that in their tags. So go to product name and say include Valentine shirt. Okay, and now it's going to filter out everything that doesn't have the word Valentine shirt in the title. Okay, the last filter that we need to set up would be the sales volume. I don't do revenue because it depends on what everybody charges. So if you organize it by total sales and you just click that arrow, and now you are filtered from the most sales to the least sales. Obviously, we need to ignore any results that are SVGs or that are copyright, like this one. Those are copyright images, and don't try to replicate anything like that. So right now, we're just going to take a look at each thing that's here, and we're going to look at how old is the listing. All right, so this is a 12-month-old listing. So we're going to try to find the youngest listing possible. Obviously, a lot of these aren't going to have a ton of sales because, like this one, has only been through one Valentine's Day. This is an SVG anyway. So this is a good one because it's a custom shirt. Those are fairly popular. And don't worry about the price because they could have a loss leader or a child shirt or baby onesie. You know, it might say I love my daddy or something like that. So just go by how many sales they've had, how old the listing is, and then you can see this is a popular design. So if you came up with something similar, do not copy. And then this is a set for Mama and Mama's Valentine. So it's a mother-daughter set or mother-son. Okay, so this just gives you a lot of information. The most popular shirts are the ones that are custom, that are not SVG. From this, you can get some really great product and niche ideas and know what is already selling. They also have a keyword tool that includes common misspellings. I love that. And I'm currently working on a more in-depth tutorial for this feature as we do not have time to cover it all today.
I do also like eRank for research, but Everbee is my #1 pick now because of their email feature. It's just great to be able to do this all in one place. I have a video going more into depth about that, and I'll link it above for you. There is also a BOGO link in the description below that gets you buy one, get 1 month free if you want to consider Everbee as part of your New Year's Etsy plans. Step 4 is business needs. Now that we have our goals, our organization, and our research all set, we need to look at anything else that the business might need over the coming year. If your plan is to grow in 2024, you'll need to plan for things like new equipment, product launches, escalation of current direction or a change of direction, scaling, marketing, subscriptions, possible hiring help, and more. For the sake of time, we cannot go through all of these, but I would like to show you a few examples of what this might look like in your planning. This is the third and final worksheet. Print as many copies as you need, but try to keep this under 5 needs if your shop is small. You're first going to write in what your need is, and I'm going to use 2 examples. I'm going to say that, let's just say you need a heat press. And let's use the example of a Canva Pro subscription. Okay, the heat press is obviously a bigger need, but we also need to plan for things like this. We don't want to add a monthly payment too soon. Second, you will notice that I have provided a ton of space for why this is needed. You've probably heard it said before, but your why is very important, and writing it down like this will help you to really clarify your reasoning, and it will motivate you when you go back to this and do your quarterly review. Okay, under when is needed, you can write your dream time. But right now we're going to say that we need a heat press because we want to do Christmas ornaments at Christmas time. So I'm going to say that that's Christmas before Q4. Okay? And then for the Canva Pro subscription, this is a little more arbitrary. This really is just whenever you would want it. So I would want it for all my designing, so I'm going to say by Q2. Because if we've added all those listings and our income has gone up by Q2, we can probably afford $14.99 a month for this Pro subscription. Okay? Next is how much will it cost? And you can do this one of 2 ways. Let's just say that your heat press that you're looking at is $800, right? But if you also want to do it on a payment plan and you know the payment is going to be, I don't know what that would be on that, but let's just say it would be $65 a month. Now, I'm very conservative when it comes to borrowing, but I will say that if it comes to something that you need to do your work, as long as the expense is justified and you know that you can afford it, which is why we do all this planning, then I would just pick whichever way I think would get it for me faster. And then I would just pick whichever one I was most comfortable with. I probably would still just save up the $800. Okay, and for the Canva Pro subscription, we know that that is $14.99 a month. And you could pay for it for the year. But this also might be a thing where you just want to try it out. So in that case, do the $14.99 a month, and then you could upgrade if you feel like it was going to be something you were really going to use. Okay. So then here is where I would actually put my actual date. Okay. So we said before Q4, I might say September 15th here for this. Okay. So I want to order it and have it in and set up and ready to go before Q4. And that starts in October. So, and then here I would say for Q2, I might do it the very first month of Q2 if I've hit my goals. So if I'm going to do it the very first month in Q2, I would say April 1st. Oops. Okay. And then this is whenever you're going back and doing your quarterly, you're going to see if you're on track. Okay. Which you would already know on this one. But again, you can do this for as many needs as you have. Just try to keep it not so complicated. Now that you have everything filled out, all that's left is to throw it all into a 3-ring binder so that you can refer back to it. All of this planning does absolutely no good if you just put it on a shelf and never look at it again. I generally go back to all of my plans and goals at least once every quarter at the beginning of the quarter. This just helps me to keep on track and stick with the plan. So this has been my system for goal planning. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I hope that you can take something from it and use it in your own planning. Planning can be a real game changer for your shop. And it doesn't matter how bad the economy is. 2024 can still be your year. If you liked this video, hit the like button. And if you loved it, consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so you don't miss when new content is uploaded. There are links in the description below to many of the tools that I use. Some of them I'm affiliates for and some of them I'm not. Doesn't cost you anything extra if you use the links below. It just helps my channel out and I very much appreciate it. Also, a final thank you to our sponsor Everbee. And again, don't forget the BOGO link for them down below. And one last thing. I did start a brand new Facebook group and I've had some people come over and join, so jump in now while it's still small and let's get to know each other. That link is also in the description below. So until next time, see you later, alligator.